What's happening? It is, what o'clock in the morning is it? It is 1:15 in the morning. I am still at the office. I figured I'd do a quick Facebook Live. It's been bothering me that I've been so inconsistent with content. And it's just been a genuine challenge to keep up with the demand, and the quality problem we're having is that we're actually growing. You know, like it's we're here, we're growing the company. We've doubled the size, or just about doubled the size in the last handful of months, which is crazy. And that requires me to push around resources. So here we are, you know, and I wanted to just talk briefly about, you know, really what does it take? You know, it's cool that you guys get to see the polished videos, the produced videos, you know, even that I put out, and cool. It seems like it's all super easy and not a big deal. But the challenge is that, dude, it's hard, man. It's 1:15 in the morning. I'm still working, grinding, trying to be creative, trying to be smart, trying to change the world one brand at a time, trying to grow a company, and my brain's fried. I've gone through probably too much caffeine. That's the real world of inspiration, the real world of entrepreneurship. It's tough, man. It's not easy. It's not always easy. You know, it's, I'm reading some of your comments. Yeah, man, just finished working myself. Ken Walls, he's a hard worker. Joel takes work, respect the hustle. It does take work, man. I'm here at 1 o'clock in the morning, still working on the East Coast. I'm going to be back. You know, I'm going to go. My wife's been asleep for I don't know how long, right? Like, you know, I'm going to go home, catch a few hours of sleep, probably 3.5, come back first thing in the morning, right? Like, it doesn't stop. I don't have a choice. I mean, I have a choice. I can stop. I don't have to do this. But the reality is, if I want to build what I'm building, I have to do this. There is no other choice. Even when I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to go to sleep, man. I'm tired. I got to work a little bit longer. I got to do what I got to do. Don't get me wrong. I freaking love it. I love this. I made this bed. I got to sleep in it. But it's tough, right? This is the reality. People, I get a lot of questions nowadays. People are like, oh, man, like, you know, what was the thing that, you know, when did you get over that plateau when, like, stuff was really hard? And, like, when did you get to the point of where it's, like, smooth? Dude, it doesn't get smooth. It's still hard. It's still hard. If business was easy, everybody do it, right? It's true. I'm curious, like, sleep when you're dead. Yeah, Chris, that's right. Sleep when you're dead. Any thought? Oh, Chad, this is actually a good question. I'm just going to be like really random because obviously I'm a little out of it right now. Just kind of trying to throw some gems your way, give you a couple nuggets, some late night nuggets. I also think this is good therapy. Maybe that's what this is. So any questions, throw them in here. I'm going to do like a quick Spitfire Q&A. Where'd that question go? Oh, Chad said, any thoughts on the Facebook newsfeed changes? Yeah, I actually do, and I like it. Here's why. I've seen a lot of brands struggling right now, a lot of publishers struggling. I've seen data, a lot of data, and, you know, yeah, it's pretty obvious that it's less reach, harder to gain traction, not zero, but less. Wasn't a lot before as far as organic reach is concerned, like natively on average. It's a lower now for brands. I haven't been posting as consistently, but my reach is actually at an all-time high. And I'll tell you why. Because Facebook dictated how the algorithm was going to work, right? They said, listen, we want to take this away from a passive community and we want to turn it into an engaged community. Well, to me, I said, that sounds really easy, really simple. Instead of just putting out passive content, meaning read something, look at something, watch something, and move on, maybe collect some likes, maybe collect some shares. Instead of that, You need to be engaging enough and spark some conversation, spark some debate, ask some questions, take some polls, get some feedback, have comments, go back and forth with people. Dude, my organic reach is higher than it was before. Because, dude, that's the cool thing about what media today. Everyone freaks out and goes, oh my gosh, everything changed. Just take a couple of days, figure out what changed, and then play within the new rules. That's it. That is it. It's not that hard. It's not that crazy. Now, maybe the hard part for some people is that they don't have anything engaging up. They don't know what questions to ask. They don't know who they're talking to, which probably a lot of the times is the case. So you got to figure those things out first. That's why a great marketing agency, great marketer, a great team comes in handy to understand who are you talking to? What is the story? What is the narrative? What does your audience care about? What don't they care about, right? And then stirring up that conversation. That's it. I like the algorithm change. I'm actually really happy with it. Let's see. Alex, you did this for your future and your family as well. Yeah, man, for sure. It is about the future. And also, I'll be honest, selfishly, I just am driven to see what I'm made of. I want to know how far I can push myself. I want to see how big I can take this. I don't have an exact reason why. I just feel it. So I'm going to go for it. Max Force, what up? Thoughts on angel investors? Depends, man. If you need the cash, you got a good idea, and you got somebody who's going to front load the money to make it happen, and you're comfortable with the transaction, it's a great thing. I haven't taken I've never taken an angel investment before. I've made it this far without it. Hustle, Facebook ads, content, live videos. It's been driving force in my business. Yeah, absolutely, man. Facebook's where it's at. I'm curious. Real quick poll: how many of you have seen episode 18 of Growing Bold? Finally came out with Patrick Bet-David that we dropped last week. How many of you seen that? Let me know. And if you have seen it, let me know what you thought of that episode. I'm curious, very curious. While you let me know, I'm going to roll in a quick 60-second little teaser for anyone that hasn't seen Growing Bold episode 18. Check out a little taste of it now.
We can act all hard and tough and, I'm Patrick, but I'm this. I almost threw in the towel that day. But I said, look, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my part. And I know I can control my part. I'm going to go there early. I'm going to stay late. I'm going to compete. I'm going to give a fight. And I'm going to keep fighting, and eventually things are going to work out. And it did. There are no limitations on how big of an income you can make. There's no limitations on how big of a business you can build. There are no limitations on how hard we can work, how much we can improve, how many books we can read. The limitations are not on us. The only limitations are if you make the enemy bigger than it really is, then you have turned the monster bigger. He's not that big as you think he is. It is an imagination. He is just as afraid of you as you are of him. Take the thought off that, put the focus on the vision, and let's get to work.
Cool. Yeah, most of you said you have seen it. Thanks for watching. I've been getting really good feedback on it. Patrick's he's a great dude, isn't he? He's really smart, brilliant guy. Tom, the COO, freaking brilliant. Love those guys. Just really get in to spend a little bit of time with Patrick. It's super cool. He's really legit. It's really cool. It's also cool that, he's doing valuetainment and, he's not monetizing it. I mean, not at this point. He's just doing it because he wants to grow and he wants to teach people and help other people learn. That's pretty cool. A couple other questions. Alex Martucci, that's what I'm asking you. Do you believe the agencies are going to be in a struggle due to automation? I believe the agencies are going to struggle, not just because of automation. I believe it's a small part of it. But I don't believe automation is going to solve anything from a marketing. Well, automation isn't going to solve any major problems for brands in the next 5 to 7 years. It's way further out than that. AI is still in the super early days, right? So for me, I'm not worried about automation other than utilizing automation as a tool to maximize what I'm doing, to maximize what our company's doing, and the results we can get for clients. But the biggest impact isn't the tactic, because the tactics constantly change as far as what you're doing. The biggest impact that any brand can and will ever have is really understanding its true story, its true mission, its true audience and what it stands for, and telling a really great story. There's no computer program that's going to like dictate that, at least not in the next 5 to 7 years. So if you can do that and then you can use the tactics right, be super successful. Let's see, what else we got? Santana, any thoughts on someone that works full-time but would like to start their own business? I'll give you a little anecdote, man. Back in 2006, I think it was. Yeah, around 2006. Right around the time that I had my first business, the production company, and I was really struggling. And I almost like on the verge of closing down the business, a couple months behind on my personal rent, was getting evicted, had to get a roommate on Craigslist, had to sleep on a couch, had to put my stuff in cabinets, like really miserable, very depressing time for me. When I finally made the change and said, okay, I need to get out of this, for about a year, while I dug myself out of the hole and ran the company full time, I also worked full time at a network. And probably for 8 months, nobody really knew, or at least they didn't lead on to the fact that they knew. They knew I did stuff like outside of there, but they had no idea. I literally, I'm not joking, I'm not exaggerating. It's like 2006, and I would get up like 7 o'clock in the morning, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'd go to the office. I'd work until about 9 a.m. The guy who was working for me at the time, he would come in. We'd work together for a half hour. I'd pass off a bunch of stuff to him. He would take it over. I would go to this other gig. I'd work from 10 to like 6, doing all sorts of stuff. I'd wrap that up. If I could wrap it up earlier, I would. I'd come back to the office. He'd hand off everything that he left off with, and I would work until I literally would pass out. So a lot of the times I would be in the office all day, probably until like 2 in the morning, sometimes 3 in the morning working. So a lot of times I would just fall asleep on the couch in my office. I'd go to the gym around the corner, shower, and then I get up, rinse and repeat. I did that for 14 months. So, and without a day off, without one day off. So if I can do it, you can do it. It's not impossible. It's hard, but if I can do it, you can do it too. Ken Walls, man, you got to check it out. Episode 18 was a good one. Augmented reality for pest control services. I don't know what you would use augmented reality for. Are you showing people like what it would be like with or without pests? Maybe. I think like don't go with a gimmick. If it works, if it's a good tactic, sure. If it helps illustrate something that you need to illustrate that gets you customers, use it. If it's a gimmick, forget it. Rich, what's up? Cool. What's your biggest struggle right now? My biggest struggle is sleep. It's time, lack of it. Still killing it, don't get me wrong. I'm freaking killing it, man. I'm doing like a week's worth of shit in a day. And I'm not even joking. Like, if I talked to myself 3 years ago and said, like, this is how much I can accomplish in a day, it might be an 18-hour day, 19-hour day, I'd be like, that's crazy. Please. John, hello, what's up? What's your biggest struggle? What is your biggest struggle? I'll try to help a couple people out real quick. I don't know how much longer I'm going to stay on here. I do have a little bit more work to do. I do need to get a handful of hours of sleep to be functional tomorrow. But I'm really pumped that so many of you jumped in on this. It's awesome of you. Michael, what's up, Michael? How are you, man? Growing the largest out-of-home networking and ad network in shopping malls and sports stadiums via branded cell phone, charging tables, real-time data. Any advice how to get major buying agencies to start placing our tables? You need to make it as easy as possible for them. Ease. It's got to be easy, because when you're talking about media buying agencies, man, everything they do is based on easy, right? It's easy to buy TV GRPs. It's easy to buy print. It's easy to buy radio. And so I hate to say it, some of them are friends of mine. Sorry. If you're not inside of the industry, man. And then I have some, I know some people who are really good at media strategy, media buying, that is very complex and it's great. But I'd say the vast majority of media buyers, media buying companies, it is what is the simplest, lowest common denominator so I can buy my impressions. That's pretty much it. So if you can make it super easy, maybe you give them some value add with the data on the back end that gets their clients excited, that's going to get them to buy. That's it. That's all I got for you. I hope that helps. All right. Gabrielle, having any advice for me selling SEO services? When I walk in and speak to potential clients, should I cold email or keep doing what I'm doing? It's been difficult. My niche is medical field, dentists, pediatricians, etc. Well, if you have a niche, that's great. I think that's a smart start. So I think it's all of the above. It's cold emails, it's cold calls, it's walking into the practice, it's getting referrals, everything. You just need to get in front of people, and you need to be able to showcase why your solution helps their biggest problem. JD, what up? What are you thinking in marketing with sponsor advertising and decline in sports? One, because of the lack of branding by drivers. Oh, we're talking about racing, race cars. Yeah, dude, NASCARs, etc. That's a tough market, and we have a couple clients in that arena. So I understand it well. Honestly, it's really tough. I'm not going to say I have some like magical solution, right? I think what you need to do is you need to look and say, how do I integrate the brand more? Just slapping a logo on a car is not worth the amount of money that people have spent, especially with the decline in attendance, decline in attention, etc. So what can you do? What other parallel industries can you align yourself with to where when someone is sponsoring your car or team or track, they get more than just logo placement. They're getting something more, right? And if you can find a way to tie that back to a business problem that you see sponsors continue to have and you can help solve that, now you add value outside of just the sponsorship. Charlene is having trouble growing her live video show audience. Charlene, I don't really know too much detail about what the show is, but what I would say is you need to cross collaborate. You need to, whatever your target market is, you need to find other people in the similar industry with other similar target demographics. You need to cross collaborate, do content with them, have them do content with you, and so on to build up that momentum. Santana is having trouble finding confidence to what I want without being judged. Bro, you're always going to be judged. Straight up. You will always be judged by strangers, by people on the internet, by people that love you, by people that hate you. You will always be judged. Accept the fact that you will always be judged no matter how good or how poor you do. So who cares? Yeah, Max, no problem, brother. Okay, Joseph, biggest struggle is finding and motivating new clients for my company. Just got to get out there and do sales, man, knock on doors, make phone calls. I don't know specifically what the business is, but it's just volume game. Michael, everyone wants to do media. No one is searching for charging tables because agencies don't understand consumers' dwell time is over 20 minutes. So you just need to show that value proposition that, listen, like the amount of time, it's not the impression then, it's the amount of time. And then compare that time to how much time they're seeing of other things. And then compare how much more valuable your station is in comparison to the other things they're buying at a similar price range. Because while they might get dollar for dollar, maybe the impressions are better, but dollar per impression per minute, yours is a better deal. Show them that. Ken Walls, all right, man. Next time you're in NYC, let me know, dude. Let's do it. Let's get lunch. You're welcome, Charlene. Chris, struggle with balance between working on deliverables for client, working on growing the overall firm. We're a small team. That's why we're both up at 1:30 in the morning, man. I have dozens of employees. I'm still up to 1:30 in the morning. That's it. Like, you keep growing, you delegate more, but then more stuff gets put on your plate. You have more different change of problems, change of challenges, right? So yeah, you just got to keep stretching, man, and you keep getting that next level, and then you put smart people in place to take as much stuff off your plate as possible, and then you get to the next saturation point, rinse and repeat. Cool. Well, listen, I appreciate you guys' time, especially so late. I'm gonna end this this live stream here by just rolling in episode 18 of Growing Bold. Why not? I might fade it out in a little bit because I probably actually have to use this computer. But anyway, listen, I appreciate your time. I appreciate everyone who tuned in. And go out, be bold, put in the work, do whatever it takes. You know, it's not easy, but when you're doing what everyone else isn't doing, when you're putting in the extra time, the hours, the focus, the energy, you're taking a step back, even intraday, and asking yourself, like, hey, what could I have done better about that call? What could I do better about this presentation? How can I run this meeting better? Constantly be asking yourselves those questions, constantly adjust course, constantly put in the work that nobody else is willing to do, and you will get to the next level. Listen, I appreciate it. Have a great night. And for anybody who hasn't watched Growing Bold, who's still watching, maybe watch a little bit of this. Catch you later.
There's a big flash behind us. My dad says, don't look behind you. It's me and my sister sitting in the back seat. We look behind us. A bomb dropped 50 yards behind us, and the bridge is going down.
It's funny how big the numbers sound. I thought $1 million was a lot until I did $1 million in sales, and then realized it's nothing. Margins are 2%, and it's like, oh shit, I made 20 grand this year, and I did $1 million. I signed $1 million worth of checks on both the front and the back.
They finally let you out the office?
I know, right?
Neither of you look like you've seen the sun in a long time.
Hey, welcome to Dallas, huh? You seen Brian?
He's taking a nap.
Man, repping the bold hat. I like it. Texas.
And I'm gonna tell you what, the reason why we're in Dallas today, our content with Growing Bold got us this meeting.
No, for sure, 110%. I can't tell you how many times I felt like, man, if I could just get in front of somebody that's done 100 million, it's done $1 billion from nothing, like figured it out. Like 7 months ago, my accountant said, dude, you should not do that. Don't spend your money. It's just vanity. Ben, accountant Ben, I love you, buddy. You do a lot of amazing
Ben almost
things.
didn't have me hired.
Yeah, dude, Ben didn't want the guy behind the camera hired.
Thanks a lot, Ben.
Because crunching numbers and said it doesn't make sense. Don't spend the money on doing all this extra branding. It's cool, but it's not going to close business. Does it close business, Steve?
100%.
Right here.
All right, you guys are in the middle of the road, by the way, just so you know. Hey, how you doing?
Very good. How you doing?
Hey, pleasure to meet you.
Good to meet you. Pleasure to meet you. Good to meet you. Wow. Sharp, you guys look good.
We've only been here since December 4th. This is all getting done next 4 weeks. It's going to be a slide. So after you're done watching a movie, you literally come down the slide. Mario, whose idea was a slide?
You were the initial one.
You know, you never lose the kid side of you, right?
Yeah.
You got a couple items here with MJ, with Gretzky, with Magic. This painting here that took a while for this to get finalized.
I want to talk to other successful entrepreneurs who have interesting, unique, genuine stories that I can ask questions and literally learn from you, and therefore then the audience learns. So through me, I'm giving value back, and then also showing what we're doing and how we're doing it. I know what PHP is. I know what valuetainment is. I've seen a ton of your content, but for those 1 or 2 people in the entire world that don't know who you are and what your companies are, what do you do?
So I run a financial firm. So I tell you how this whole thing got started.
Yeah.
I get out of the military. I was originally born and raised in Iran, lived there for 10 years. Khomeini dies June 3rd, 89. We escaped. I go to Germany. I live at a refugee camp for 2 years, which was wild. And then that's when I first learned how to sell. At the refugee camp, I was selling. And so from there, I come to the States, November 28, 1990. It's amazing. I'll never forget that day. I said, Mom, where's Rocky? She says, what do you mean, where's Rocky? I said, we're in America, Mom. Where's Rocky? I want to see Rocky. You know, where is everybody? You know, I'm looking around, I don't see Rocky. To me, it's such an innocent feeling. You thought everybody was a Hollywood star. Literally, we thought everybody was a Hollywood star. I had a 1.8 GPA. I was not a kid that did in school. After high school, I joined the Army, went into the Army for a few years at the 101st Airborne. I got out, had no idea what I originally wanted to do career-wise. I didn't know I was going to get into bodybuilding, and it didn't work that way. You know, I met a girl named Janvier, and she'd pick me up in a different car every time, and I would say, man, what do you do? She said, I work at Morgan Stanley. At that time, my resume was Haagen-Dazs, was Bob's Big Boy, was Burger King, was Army and Bally's. That's it.
Wow.
I don't have a fancy resume, right? So I changed my resume's cover letter, and you know how you go to schools and they say, write your resume like this. I said, screw this, it's not going to work. I changed the resume to cover letter. At the top, I put the best joke I had at the time, okay? And underneath the joke, I said, if you're laughing, this is exactly how my clients are going to feel when they do business with me. They're going to love me. If you want someone like me part of your team, call me. When we were in Iran and we were getting bombed on, the only savior for us was humor.
Wow.
So we had to laugh too. I mean, what are you going to do? Laugh it off. We're getting bombed. Ha ha ha. You know, it didn't hit us. And you joke and you go to the next one. That's the only outlet you have.
Wow.
The only outlet you have is to laugh. I mean, you realize the value of laughter. So I faxed it out to 100 places. TD Waterhouse, Morgan, Merrill, Schwab. I even sent it to Goldman Sachs. Goldman would never hire me, but I sent it to everybody. I have no idea who Goldman is. I just saw, here's a list of financial firms. Right. And then next thing you know, I get 30 calls. You know, out of the 30 calls, 15 were just calling to say, very creative approach. We like it. The joke is hilarious, but you're not qualified. 3 different offices took me to the last interview and offered me a job. I chose the one that was closest to me. And then in October of 2009, you know, we started PHP Agency with 60 agents out of Northridge, California.
Where did valuetainment come from? Because that's a whole other, I see how it's related, but I can see how it doesn't seem related at all.
So originally, I would make CDs. Okay, and then I had these CDs I would make, and everybody wanted them. And so next thing you know, it would become a fight. You know, I got Pat's CDs, and you know, hey, I'm in Canada, and I'm listening to your CDs, and they would send me are you ever going to make more CDs? I'm like,
what was on the CDs? Like
just stuff on, you know, selling, motivation, how to make phone calls, all these stuff that were on these CDs. Mario suggested, hey, why don't we start doing some videos? We start writing everything down. So okay, we bring value. We entertain, and it's starting to become a movement. How about we call it value for value, just basic value. Tain is entertain.
Yep.
Mint was movement. So valuetainment, and we name it valuetainment.
The challenge that I'm actually going through right now is we're having so much growth. June to November, we doubled the size of the company. We've probably increased another 25% in the last 2 months, and we've just closed a bunch of new contracts. We're gonna probably increase it by another quarter or a third in the next 2 months. The biggest challenge I'm having right now is like, okay, this is awesome, all this is great. Now I got to make sure that we've got the infrastructure, the talent. Did you experience growing pains like that as you started to build this?
Yes. So let me ask you, who's your chief operating officer right now?
Me.
So who's the CEO?
Me.
Got it. So now let me ask you, personality type. Which one are you more? Are you more the CEO or more COO? Your personality type.
CEO.
Okay. You will realize 90% of your headache is going to be operations.
Right.
90% of what keeps you up at night is operations. Because if you had the operation problem solved, you can do what you're good at, and that'll, you know. And so when you're wondering, saying, should I hire this guy? He's a $200,000 a year guy, and he wants equity, and he wants this, and he wants bonus, and he wants this. Oh my gosh, this is too much. I'm giving up too much. It's worth every penny. People you know, they have your COO.
Yeah. It's networking.
Yes.
Yeah. And if you don't tell anybody what you're looking for, no one's ever going to find it for you.
Step 1 is knowing exactly who you need.
Right.
Then it's networking.
Is there a thing that you know that makes somebody a good fit culturally? Because obviously it sounds like a lot of it is the buy-in, making sure they're a part of the team.
Well, you got to connect with whoever it is, COO or CEO, right? You got to connect with who you're going to be working with. The connection has to be there with the two of you. If there isn't a personality connection, it's problematic.
Yeah.
So
we want to head out? Okay. Yeah, we're going to go to a nice place. These guys take care of us. They're good.
As a kid, were you like, I'm going to make it? Like, you know, driving around in Rolls? No, you
Not
never.
at all.
When did you ever say, consciously, I want to live that lifestyle, I want to be there?
This Rolls for me was, I remember going to Iran and we'd go to the Shah's castle. It was a museum. He had multiple Rolls Royces that were given to him. I said, you know what? It'd be kind of cool if one day I got a Rolls Royce. By the way, do you see the black marks on the back of my seat or no? That's my kid, Dylan, who I tell him 1,000,000 times, don't put your shoes on there. No. As they're getting in, they say this, yes, Daddy, we know, don't touch the white. Don't touch the white.
What would you say to somebody that maybe is struggling as an entrepreneur and maybe they're not going to make it, to align themselves with a CEO to propel their career, and it's okay, you don't have to be a CEO?
So Tom, he worked for Sprint PCS, and when Sprint PCS decided to come out with their cell phone, Tom came out with the first campaign of $99.99 unlimited. So then he says, I want to try being a CEO. He becomes a CEO of GoTV. He's not happy. They sell it. Then he goes and becomes a founder by himself of a digital publishing company. He hates it. Yeah. Then one day he and I are having a talk together, and he says to me, Pat, it took me 50 years to realize I'm a very good number 2. I hate being a number 1. But I'm the best number 2 you'll ever find. Right.
All of us have a skills orientation where maybe we're math oriented, maybe we're logic oriented, maybe we're communication and logic together. It makes us great salespeople. So we have a skill orientation that we were born with. Oh, he's always been so good at math. Well, there's another orientation, a second orientation, and it is you're either an originator, you're an organizer, or you're an operator. And the originator are like true serial entrepreneurs. They're already starting things. An organizer is the ones that immediately come alongside, like the second, third people that joined Microsoft. So if you have a mathematic aptitude and a passion for financial services, and you are an organizer, you get Patrick Bet-David. Right? Now, over time, there's a third dynamic. And the third dynamic is basically all of the human parts and the stresses that go with that. For me, I discovered, having been a number 1, been a number 16, I know enough about what it is to be a CEO and a founder to say, I know what you're feeling. There's a slice of me that knows exactly what he's going through, and that, that's his lane to drive, and that's his passion. That's where he wants to be. So I'm going to make him successful doing that, as well as scale the company. Go hang out with the incubators and the accelerators and the Y Combinators and saying, I've got a passion for this space and I got aptitudes here, but I'm not kidding myself. I'm not going to walk into anybody with a business plan and get it funded. But you know what? I think this space is freaking insane and interesting, and I'd love to join teams there. Just know who you are. Right. Know exactly who you are.
Yeah. Everybody wants a number 2, a good number 2. Everybody. Most number 1s think everybody wants to be a number 1, and they don't. There's going to be a lot of these pivots that needs to be made, because there is somebody in the world today that is thinking about creative ways to put you out of business. Yeah. That's the world of capitalism. There are thousands of people today that are thinking about putting marketing agencies out of business, insurance companies out of business, restaurants out of business, car dealerships out of business, gas stations out of business. Everyone's thinking, how can I eliminate you and replace you with my idea? Yeah. So what's the vision? What's next for you guys?
We're going to keep growing the company. People that we're now doing some business with, working with, investing in the company. Clearly, we're doing something right, or those things wouldn't happen. My mindset is so much bigger to where it's not like, okay, can we get to the 10 million mark? All right, can we get to the 15? Already in my mind, we haven't hit 100 million yet. We're going to do it. And now I'm like, okay, that's now small. We're really doing what works. We're gaining traction. If we can compete with companies that have 10 times the assets, resources, talent, and we're winning, well, man, if we can get 10 times bigger, where are we going to be?
By the way, a lot of time people ask questions about where our ideas come from. I think it'd be cool to kind of see this. Where did I put the key card here?
I have mine here.
Let me see if I got mine.
Sir, do you have a badge for that door?
I'm about to get one, sir, with your permission.
When you were a kid, you're in Iran, you go to the refugee camp, come to America, you don't know anybody. How much of who you are today is based off of that experience?
One time I remember we were escaping Tehran, And that day we got bombed. The number was 167 times in one day. We're driving over this bridge, and all of a sudden there's a big flash behind us. My dad says, don't look behind you. It's me and my sister sitting in the back seat. We look behind us. A bomb dropped 50 yards behind us, and the bridge is going down. And he's driving. I mean, I'm 7, 8 years old when this happened. That stays. So you're afraid, am I going to see tomorrow? Am I going to live tomorrow? So that makes you be so grateful for us that, listen, something bad happens, a bad partnership, or we lost something. Somebody, listen, we didn't get bombed on today, bro. We're okay, guys. Let's just get back to work. You have a job, I have a job. We can work. Laws are free. You're free. I'm free. We're okay. Everything's going to work out. So that also gives you a level of optimism and things into perspective. So when something very, very bad happens, it's not as bad as you think it is. It's helped me when I'm in my dark side and I'm insecure and have these fears, and I come home one night and we're in business for 9 months and our savings, all my savings is depleted. Everything on credit cards. I've never once missed a payroll. We're on the last $13,000. I come home that night. My wife had a miscarriage. She's in bed crying. It's our first miscarriage. We've just been married for 12 months. And our anniversary happens and she has a miscarriage. I have no idea what to do. I'm praying. I'm talking. I'm asking. I'm trying every single thing. And I just said, I don't know if I'm cut out to do this. Maybe I'm not supposed to be a CEO. Maybe I'm just a good sales guy. Maybe I'm not a guy that can be a CEO. Honestly, that night, it was a very difficult following day to get up and go to work. Yeah. But I said, look, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my part. And I know I can control my part. I'm going to go there early. I'm going to stay late. I'm going to compete. I'm going to give a fight. And I'm going to keep fighting. And eventually things are going to work out. And it did. Following week, we got a $100,000 check that saved us from AIG. We can act all hard and tough and, I'm Patrick, but I'm this. I almost threw in the towel that day.
Wow.
And let me tell you, I was this close. Most people have no idea how close I was.
Really?
I really doubted myself that day.
What's the thing that got you up that next day and still take action?
When you hit that point, you kind of need to reflect and just say, I control my part. I'm going to do my part. And as long as I do, I'll leave the rest of the world. But I don't want to fail because I was afraid of doing my part. Yeah. That part, I'm not going to live with that. There are no limitations on how big of an income you can make. There's no limitations on how big of a business you can build. There are no limitations on how hard we can work, how much we can improve, how many books we can read. The limitations are not on us. The only limitations are if you make the enemy bigger than it really is, then you have turned the monster bigger. He's not that big as you think he is. It is an imagination. He is just as afraid of you as you are of him. Take the thought off that, put the focus on the vision, and let's get to work. Fellas, this has been a blast, man. Appreciate you guys coming out.
All right. 1, 2.